Yo, I just want to show you this Beermoney site that I've been using for a bit now called UserCrowd. I've earned a little over $254 from it. UserCrowd pays you for testing or reviewing sites or apps. UserCrowd sends you these tests through email, and these tests usually consist of either 1 to 3 minutes or 1 to 3 questions. Sometimes they're a little longer, but the questions are usually multiple choice, a scale rating of 1 to 7 or 10. I don't really remember, or a short written response. Now, I do think that UserCrowd pays you a fairly generous amount, especially considering how short these tests are. I usually get the 1 minute and one question ones, which are worth 20 cents. I don't think I've ever seen UserCrowd pay less than 20 cents, but I could be wrong. I haven't seen it yet. Considering this is equivalent to making like 12 bucks an hour. And I usually finish these tests within 30 to 40 seconds, which is equivalent to making these tests worth like 24 bucks an hour or less. Now, there are a bit of some downsides and some gripes that I have with UserCrowd. I'll get into that in a little bit. Anyways, let's get to my screen.
Alright, really quick before we start, if anyone's curious on what Beermoney apps I continue to use or cash out from, I have a monthly earnings page on my blog where I show what I cash out from for the whole week or for the whole month and every single month. That's fun to talk about on my main channel. I've been a little lazy to upload them there recently, but I do plan to put like separate videos talking about like finances and Beermoney and maybe stocks in the future or soon. But both of those will be linked in the description if anyone's curious. Now let's get to the review. Just to show you really quick, my lifetime earnings. I've earned a little over 254 bucks or so. Just not really a good place or easy place to show lifetime earnings, so that's why I show it there. I've also done over 475 different tests, as you can see right here with the history. Just to show you, I've been using the site for a while. You can see a bunch of like 20-cent ones, 60-cent ones, like $2 and like a couple buck ones. Most of these are like super worth doing just because they're super quick to do and super simple to do as well, and they pay pretty fairly, honestly. Now, you do get these tests through your email. I don't really know if there's any other way to easily see these, but to my knowledge, email's the best way, and they'll usually send these tests through email, and they'll usually look like this. It'll already be like marked as important with this like yellow check mark or arrow thing for you, so you'll be able to find these super easily. Now, these days, I'm going to assume that everyone has a phone, and since that's the case, occasionally you get like tests that are only for mobile and only for desktop. Now, since everyone has a phone, what you can do, if you get a desktop one, if you only have a phone, you can go to the top. When you accept these tests, it's going to, when you go through your like email app and then you click on one of these links and then you click on the link to take the test, it's going to take you to the website on your mobile like browser, and then on the top right you'll see 3 dots. When you hit those 3 dots, it's a reopen menu, and then near the bottom it's going to say like desktop mode or something. You'll say like desktop something. You're going to hit that. It's usually above the settings. Sometimes it's moved up and down a little sometimes, but you're going to hit that. It's going to refresh your whole page. It's going to turn it to like the desktop version, and then you can take the test. Now, when you do get a mobile version and you're on the desktop version, you can swap. Just make sure you swap it back to mobile version if you're on your phone. If you still don't know how to do it, just Google it. There's usually a website that has like pictures and stuff. I usually like using that one for like all my like Googling stuff, just because it shows the pictures and stuff. Super easy. I don't remember what the website name is, but it should be there if you Google it. If you only have like a PC and not a phone, I don't know if there's an easy way to take the mobile like only test, just because the only way to my knowledge is like emulators, and emulators are usually against TOS and you usually get banned if you use them, so I can't really help you there. If you know an easy way, feel free to let me know, but I personally don't. Now, moving back to the website, these tests will usually look like, well, they'll usually be like 1 to 3 questions, super short. Sometimes you get longer ones, and the longer ones will pay you more, but most of the ones that I get, like I said, are the 1 minute, 1 question ones, and they'll pay you 20 cents at least. I've never seen it go below 20 cents, which is nice. And they'll usually be multiple choice, a scale rating of 1 to 10 or 1 to 7. I don't remember how much it is. Or a short response, a written response. If you get like a website review, you'll have to sometimes click on like a certain place. They'll tell you like, oh, how do you get here? And then You're gonna have to look for it on the website that they show you, and then you're gonna click on it, and then it's gonna bring up like a prompt or something saying like, oh, why did you click here and stuff. Just write like, I don't know, like 7 words of a sentence or 8 words of a sentence. Make sure it's not too short, just because they're kind of strict with the tests. And that's usually how the questions usually look like. I can't really show you tests. I don't really have a test right here, and I'm pretty sure it's against TOS, so I can't really show you. Now, that's pretty much all that you really need to know about the test. Once you take one, they'll pretty much look similar or the same. Now, let's move on to a couple of ways that you can kind of increase your earnings. The first way would be this LinkedIn thing. I haven't linked my LinkedIn thing. I don't have a LinkedIn. I'm too lazy to make one, and I don't really want to set it up. But I also don't really care about making one, so I can't really confirm that for you right now. But they say that if you link your LinkedIn page, you'll get like higher paying tests and stuff, and like more tests in general. I can't confirm it, but if they say it does, it probably does. For the amount of time that I've used this website, it does seem like they do heavily rely on like demographics and stuff, and like LinkedIn just helps with demographics and stuff, so it makes sense. And like I said, if they say it, it probably does. Now, the second way that you can increase your earnings is demographics. And you can go to your demographics by going to the settings right here and then profile. And it's going to take you to this page and stuff. I'm pretty sure they already have you fill out this first part. And then on the very bottom, you're probably going to have to fill out this bottom part by yourself on your own time. But just going back. Also, on the demographics part, this is pretty much the same with any survey site or Beermoney survey site. They'll usually use demographics a lot. And, just keeping it updated and filling it out will usually increase your survey or the test that you get. Another way that you can increase your earnings is this rating thing. I'm not a super big fan of it, but the rating determines like how many tests you can get and like how little tests you can get. The lower your rating means, lower tests or even no tests. And if you go too low, I don't know how much you could get banned. I don't know how low you have to go, but just keep that in mind. The higher rating that you have, the more tests that you usually get as well. And if your rating's too low, you can increase the ratings if you improve your answers. I think most of the rating comes from like how fast you speed through like the tests and stuff, and just checking your sentence responses. Make sure they're not like 2 words or something. Make sure they're like, I don't know, maybe 2 sentences or something. Put a little thought into it, and the more thought that you put into it, the better quality answers you give and all that. They'll usually raise your rating and stuff, and you'll usually not have a problem. They are pretty strict with like tests and stuff because, I don't know, they are pretty strict, so just keep that in mind. Just going back really quick, talking about the 1-minute surveys. Even though I do get 1-minute surveys and they're only one question, I can probably answer them within like 10 seconds or 20 seconds, just because most of the tests that I get that are super quick look the same. They're pretty much the same thing, asking for the same thing, and I try not to rush it too quick. So I go for like 30 seconds to 40 seconds, just because they can usually tell, and then they'll lower your rating if you're going too fast, or they think that you're rushing and not really reading and all that. So gotta be careful. Don't go too fast, and make sure your answers are good and not super short and a little more thoughtful and all that. It'll keep your rating super high, and you'll be able to fix your rating like that. Now, they don't have this anymore, but they used to show it right here, where they would show like another way to earn. I've never gotten these, but they're testing live websites, and you'll need a webcam and a mic for this. And what they do is, what I hear they do is that they'll send you like instructions or like certain things that you need to do. And then you're gonna have to record yourself and then put say your thoughts of like what you think about the website, going through the website. They'll usually pay more. Like I said, I've never done these tests before, so I can't confirm this, but from what I hear, they do pay more, and that's usually how it works. But that's pretty much all of the ways that you can really increase your earnings on UserCrowd. Now, let's get to the gripes and like downsides that I have with UserCrowd. Now, as you can kind of see, we'll go through my test right here. I don't get a lot of tests. And this could be because of my demographics, or like, I just have like not a high enough rating or something. But, I've only gotten a couple on the 8th and like the 7th. Sometimes I go like a couple days without tests, or like sometimes I go a couple weeks or months, and it just sucks because it's super inconsistent. But it is what it is. It's just a nice thing to have in the back, but I don't know. It still sucks. Another thing that sucks is like a lot of these tests are first come first serve, so there's only a limited amount of space that you can have for doing a test. So if you receive a test and you're like an hour late or something, it's probably filled up sometimes. For the longer ones, usually not. Like sometimes being like 2 hours late for the longer ones, I'll usually like still get in. But if you get a survey, or a test, try to do it as quick as you can when you see it. They're usually super short, like I said. You can do them in like less than a minute or a couple minutes and stuff. Try not to rush them, like I said. But try to keep that in mind. That is another thing that kind of sucks about this. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the rating. That's one of the bigger gripes that I have. And since at least I don't get a lot of tests, it's hard to like up my rating just because I don't get enough tests to up my rating. And your rating determines how many tests you get most of the time, or a fair amount of the time. And if you have low ratings, it's going to take a lot longer and like be a lot harder to raise your ratings to get more or tests or whatever. But those are pretty much like most of the gripes that I have. Let's go to the cash outs. So the only way to cash out on UserCrowd is by PayPal, and you can link your PayPal account right here if you haven't already. But you can go to your settings, and I think it's in account settings to do it. But you do also need $10 minimum. I don't really know how much the minimum or how long it takes to cash out, because sometimes it's a couple days, sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's 2 weeks. They usually have to like review your cash out, and then once they review it, they can like pay you and all that. Not a big fan, but at least they pay. But here's a quick cash out that I did recently, just to show you proof that they do pay and it's a legit website and all that. But that's pretty much all for this website. It's not really too much to show you, just because, like I said, I can't really show you the test. So if I'm ever forgetting anything, like I said, it'll be on the blog, and I'll make sure to update the blog whenever I do get the live test or I learn anything new about this website. But anyways, I'm gonna get back to like my Warhammer 3 campaign. Anyways, take care.